Yo, JD here, Limitless, and as you can see on F1 2021 as always, and this time we've decided to race at Abu Dhabi, which I think along with Russia is probably one of the most unpopular tracks, and on this game the curbs are just absolutely insane around here. So we're starting last in the Alfa Romeo, which first time I've actually used this car online, putting on my TT setup. So if you want to know what that is, then just go in my set playlist and you can find it. And I actually think this is one of my best setups I've used, because you will see in this race of how important it is to have a good setup. So just try to get a good start, but it just car backs onto itself, reset to track, and we're back in last place. But you will see through this video where we're pretty much going to be showing a full 25% race of how important it is to have a good race setup, because in this lobby anyone could use any setup they want, but I could really tell, especially around this track, you can really go for a setup that's very pointy, very responsive, and where tyre temperatures aren't an issue in a time trial or tyre wear, then you can get away with it over a lap. But in a real situation where there is tyre wear, tyre temps, and things you have to manage, having a good car underneath you, which is good in performance but also good in stability, is extremely important. And I feel that's what this setup does around here. So please let me know if you try it out and if you like it. And you can see we were quite a long way behind, but we've already caught up quite nicely. Going out through one car there. Now we're behind my teammate. He goes in a bit deep and we're just going to get a much better exit. And you can see the leaders are a long way up ahead here. And you can just see everyone is struggling, because I just don't think people really do this track that much at all. And I think it is definitely showing so far. And as I said, if you have a good car underneath you, that just gives you that confidence, and confidence really is key on these games here. So we're back into P14 now, but still a long way to go in terms of trying to recover this race. Going in deep, just still getting used to this track, because as I said in the time trial, the grip is very different, and when you've got fuel on board and you're on a medium tyre, you can't brake in the same place as you would do typically. So going through here, really bumping the car around, especially since I have a direct drive wheel, so I was thinking about getting inside, but you could just see the superior rotation and traction we get coming off this corner. He's going to tuck into the slipstream, so we could have just kept on using the overtake, but with the slipstream, it's probably likely he was going to get alongside, so we're just going to let him do this. Go back down the inside again. He actually leaves us some room, which is nice, but then we get caught on that curb, which is very bumpy. And every curb around here is really not very nice. There's some you can run on going to the corners, but most of them you really do want to avoid. So coming through here, these are the ones that you do have to drive over completely, otherwise you will lose just a lot of performance. But this one here, really want to miss it on the exit as well. And you can just see the traction we get once again is just very nice. It almost looks in the car, because he's trying to go around the outside here. You would be amazed how many people in our online lobby, when you overtake them, they would just do anything to stop you from overtaking them. But it's good practice for when you get into a league race situation, as Rubik's Cube, who's quite a fast driver online, who I've gone against, does a 37, and we do a 38.6 in this traffic. But we do have a little bit more clear air going up ahead of us, missing that apex once again, so still need to get our braking point right for that turn one. But going through into here, the car just felt so nice going down the inside of this Red Bull as he resets the track, leaving some room on this inside. We're going to get the DRS from this Alpine up ahead, who is on the soft tyres, which softs are very powerful around here and definitely more durable than they were in the last game. But the mediums are also a fairly good tyre as well. So going down the straight, not using any of the overtake button, trying to save it all for this exit. Really braking nice and hard going into, trying to get a good exit. We get a very good line coming off this corner, going into the next DRS zone. Now we decide to use the power. What do we do here? We actually go to the inside just to make sure we definitely get to race line. You can just see with the straight line speed, much better. Just trying to spot that apex, but just going a little bit too deep. Really have to be careful going over these curbs, and we got that move done very nicely. You can see, I think we're quite a lot up on our time here. Really braking hard into this corner. I'm going to go to about almost middle of the track here. Run the curb in the exit, but don't touch this curb on the inside, and we're navigating through the section very nicely. And you could just see just the speed we have at the moment. 37.7 by Private Attic, and we come across the line, we do a 36.7, so a second quicker than anyone at this stage. Making sure we hit the apex on this occasion, so it took us a few laps to do it. We're just got to try and make sure we're in the DRS zone, and you can see we can pretty much almost go flat out going through into that corner, which is actually very hard to do online. Doing a purple first sector now, but now we are coming up to a little bit of the traffic, taking a nice sweeping line, try and get the throttle earlier than the cars up ahead of us, using a bit of a boost just to try and be as close as I can. Now using the DRS here, and you can see how much we pulled away from the cars behind already. The setup we're using is working very nicely at this stage, so let them go deep into the corner, try and go for a pretty nice switch back here, but I think it's going to be difficult because the car ahead has DRS from the cars ahead of him, but that Private Attic seems to be lagging ever so slightly, so he goes round the outside here, so he gets out of the danger, but then they tangle, and inevitably someone always has to come off worse here. You can see we still get some very good traction coming off this corner. We went double purple, but I think we're just going to lose a little bit of time behind these cars coming through into here, and I just think the grip we have through the corners with that stability, it's, you can see it's working very well, and it's just so hard to get on the traction around this circuit. There's a very low grip circuit, as some people are already pitting, so they've had enough of their softs already. Now we're coming out behind Blue Ranger. Let's see if we can get within the DRS zone here. Doing that very nicely, and I think we are already under a second. Do we go flat out, go through into here? I think we just about went flat out through into here. You can see we gained a lot of time going through here. There's another purple first sector here, and now let's see if we could even improve on our lap once again. So taking a nice swooping line. Didn't get a great exit though. That was a pretty poor exit, so using the overtake just to be as close as possible for this second DRS zone. And you can see the straight line speed when the car doesn't have a DRS in front of us here. So we were thinking about going around the outside, then decide to let him have this corner, try and get a better exit. Now we're going to pump the overtake button. Now he actually gets a surprisingly good exit from that. Let's see what we can do here. We actually go around the outside this time, so trying to break on the racing line, and he still tries to hold it on the inside there. So again, people just love to just stick their nose in, but not much you could do there. Let's see how much we pull away in this last sector, because we felt very strong going into this last sector. So it's about 6 tenths. Let's see what it's going to be once we hit the line. Taking this corner, but making sure we don't take the curb. Run the curb on the exit. We get our first track invalidation, and come up here, we get some really nice traction. 50-meter board, that's where you want to be braking and turning in, and you can see the gap is pretty much almost, or it is up to a second now. Come across the line, we almost did another fastest lap here. You can see we've already got out of that DRS zone, but trying to get within the DRS zone of these guys up ahead, who are going to be on quickly fading soft tyres here now. So let's see if we can get within the DRS zone, but I don't think we're probably going to be quite close enough, which I think we're not going to be close enough. So just about a tenth away from what we need to do, but we don't have any pressure from behind. And considering we had to reset on turn 1, we've caught up to the field very quickly. But Noam93, who's another very quick driver, he's decided to pit early as well. And these guys, they're probably going to be sitting ducks here, but they might get a slight undercut on these medium tyres. And you can see we've got the DRS here, so I'm not going to use any of the overtake. Once again, they're still going side by side, so no one wants to concede any position. But the Mercedes light, red lights flashing, a Ferrari comes off worse on the curb here, and we're looking to be in a really, really good position as Noam has actually retired from the race, which is unfortunate. But you can see going through to this section, we should have much more grip now. Lap 6 of the race, this is where the softs really do start to go off, and you can just see the amount of more traction we have. It's pretty crazy at this stage, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes into the pits, which he does indeed. So we're going to continue on, and let's see how much faster we can go in the clear air. As Jeff is telling me, strategy option is open. So now we move on to the end at lap 7. You can see a lot of people have pitted behind us, but we are still continuing on again. And what do? It's a 37.0, so actually doing a purple last sector, so we still definitely have some life in these tyres as well. And do we pit now? No, we don't. We are still going once again, because I was keeping an eye on the delta of the medium runners. Rubik's Cube is the net leader, and it wasn't really coming down too much, really, by anything at all. So I always just stay out until I start losing a good chunk of time, and you can see we've actually still managed to even extend that time despite being on the older medium. So we're going to come in now and put on the very fast soft tyres. We've got pretty much 4 laps to do on these soft tyres, and they should be very fast. So coming up here, probably the most awkward pit lane to come out of. This and Austria are my worst pit lane exits. And coming off here now, what is the gap going to be? Blue Ranger did get a slight undercut. He is side by side, but then he loses the car going through to here. It's really hard to go flat out in the race going through into there. But now we have a 2.8 second gap to Rubik's Cube. Let's see if we can even close in on that before the end of the lap here. So you'll be able to see for this middle sector, we're not using any of the overtake button at this stage. I really want to try and save it for when I get some clear air. And you can see the step we're running. I'm not quite sure what wings we're running. I think it was 7-9 wings, something like that. But it was pretty good in a straight line as well, as you can see. And you can see going through the corners that we're making up quite a lot of time just by the traction itself alone. So you might even be able to get in the DRS zone by the end of the first sector on the next episode. Keep an eye on that delta. You'll be able to see how much it changes, and going through into here, it's about 2 or 3 tenths or 4 tenths we've just gained going through these corners. So you might even be able to do it by the end of the first sector, really taking a lot of grip. So being able to brake much later on these soft tyres. So that's another 2 tenths, another 3 tenths going through into here, and the gap we've closed down by well over a second already on this lap here. And it should be a purple last sector, as we've still got 4 tenths to find going through into this first sector. Let's see if we can get in this DRS zone going through sector 1, really doing that nicely now. And you can see gained another 2 tenths going through to here. Do we go flat out through into here now? Yes, we do. We go completely flat out going into this sector 1. Not a purple first sector though, but losing the car on the curb. So we've actually missed out on this DRS zone, and that can show you how quickly things can change if you're not paying attention. So that was a bit unfortunate, because I really wanted to DRS him down this straight so I'd have a clear track for the rest of it. So we're going to save our overtake button once again for the next lap, and then see what kind of fastest lap we could do, because I think the fastest lap right now is a 35.9 or something like that, or 36.2 or something like that. So coming into here now, we're not really going to be overtaking going through this last sector, but you can just see how much more grip we have on him, and the amount of speed we have with this setup around here. Abu Dhabi is a track that I've never particularly enjoyed driving, but it does play into my strengths really well. It's really harsh on track limits. You really have to be consistent, and you have to manage the tyre wear and the tyre temperatures. So despite me not enjoying it particularly, if I'm driving well around here, normally my pace is going to translate very well when it comes to competing against other people. So now we have got him in this first sector, so we're not going to be able to go as fast as we would have liked to do here. So we're just going to wait for this DRS zone, and you're about to see the grip difference going through into here. He actually does it quite well, but going through into here, under the braking, just gaining a lot more time and missing the curb this time. He actually gets caught a little bit on this occasion, so we're going to go right round the outside here, and you can just see the traction difference we have is absolutely insane. We're not going to use any of the overtake here because you have the DRS, and he's quickly, you're about to see, he's just going to be fading behind us. So I think we're even going to be saving our fast lap for the next lap. So really not optimal, because the longer you leave it, you just lose a lot of time from your potential peak performance actually was. But I think you're about to see in the next lap of how big a difference it can be between the soft and the medium tyres. So going through this section, I'm just going to try and get him out of my DRS zone as quick as I possibly can, and you can already see the gap is up to 0.6 of a second. Going for here, making sure you miss this curb, take a nice swooping line into here, and I wonder if it's going to be a second by the time we cross the line. It's 0.9 here, and if you get a really good exit going for here, it is already a second, so you can just see how much of a difference there are on these tyres. And as I said, I really do feel the setup is playing a big part here. So now we're going to go for a real fast lap here. So going into this turn one, really taking everything, going completely flat out through here. Do we do the same through this corner? Yes, we do, just about. You can see we gained about 0.6 going through that sector one alone. Hitting this curb, kissing it nicely, and doing it very well going to the seekers. As you hit that white line, that's when we'll be braking. Not going too out wide, keeping nice and tight on this exit to unwind, going down this very long straight, and you can see we've gained a second, just over a sector already. Now we're using our overtake button going down through here. The brake markable's missing, but braking really want to be at the 100-meter board, really being aggressive going through into these corners and using the overtake on the exit. That's another half a second just through 2 corners alone here, so it might even be well over 2 seconds to that. Coming through here, it's not a purple sector once again, but we are about 0.8 up than what we were on previously. Now go through to this last sector, missing that apex a little bit, not too bad, but the gap is over 3 seconds now, and that just shows you the power of these soft tyres doing this corner very nicely. And it might even be 3 seconds and 1 lap, depending on how good we get this last sector. It started off what, 1 second. If it's 4 seconds, and that is just absolutely crazy. Coming through here, doing this very well, and going across the line, it's a 35.0, despite doing it on about 3 or 4 lap old tyres. That was done very nicely, and you can see the gap was up to 4 seconds, and now it's up to 6.2 seconds here. So our pace has just been absolutely relentless around here. A really good drive, but coming off the exit of this last corner, I didn't even do that on purpose. But if that was a league race, I probably would have taken it a little bit more easy. But despite that, we still win by a very big margin, starting from last. So please let me know if you enjoy my setup. I feel it's one of my very best on this game so far as a baseline. Thank you for the support on the channel. It really does mean a lot, and I will be catching you very soon. Peace.